Hi and welcome to Whisky Shared. You're watching my review of Green Spot Château Léoville Barton. I'm Toby and you're watching Whisky Shared. Welcome to my review of Green Spot Château Léoville Barton. It's Irish Whisky Month, so I'm reviewing 4 different Irish whiskies and this is number 3 in the series. All the whiskies in this series have been picked by my followers. If you'd like to win a sample of each of the whiskies I've featured, plus a bonus dram, then keep watching to the end and I'll explain how you can get your hands on them. Right, so Green Spot. This is a special edition of Green Spot. Unlike the standard Green Spot, which is aged in ex-Oloroso and ex-bourbon casks and is bottled at 40% ABV. This has been finished in Château Léoville Barton Bordeaux wine casks for 12 to 24 months to impart an interesting flavour. It's also released at 46% ABV. It's a pot still Irish whiskey and it's made in the Middleton distillery. But let me tell you a little bit about the Spot range and the founders, Mitchell & Sons. So in the 1800s, Mitchell & Sons were well-known confectioners, greengrocers and wine merchants, and in 1887 they partnered with Jameson, the Bow Street distillery in Dublin, and their wine, sherry and port casks that were now empty were being filled by the Jameson distillery with new make. They took those casks and they aged them in their own cellars, and depending on the age of the whiskey, they put a different daub of paint on the end of the casks to signify how old it was. The Château Léoville Barton connection is basically a winery in France, and its lineage dates back to 1725 to the Barton family, which emigrated from Ireland. So it's nice to have that connection with a French red wine, but with an Irish connection within the family. In 1976, the Irish Distillers Group decided that they were going to stop selling their new make to external whiskey bonders like Mitchell & Son. And when the stocks of their popular Green Spot started to run out after about 10 years, they pleaded with the company for them to supply them more whiskey. Well, that was successful because they actually got them to come to a partnership agreement, and the pot still whiskey that's in this and all current Mitchell & Son releases is actually made in the Middleton distillery in Ireland, and the Mitchell & Son barrels are aged at the Middleton distillery on their behalf. So the Spot range is alive and well. There's several different versions in the range, and as it happens, my next review will be the Red Spot Irish whiskey. Should we find out what it tastes like? On to the whiskey. Right, so before I start nosing and tasting, I will point out that I'm drinking this out of my Túath Glass. It's Ireland's answer to the Glencairn. If you'd like to get yourself one, I'll put a link in the description so you can find out where to buy them. The Green Spot Château Léoville Barton retails for around £60 and can regularly be found on offer between £54 and £55. Compared to the standard Green Spot, it retails about £40 and can often be had for about £33–34. So there is a difference in price, but obviously this has been aged that longer period. The standard Green Spot is sort of 7 to 10 years old, so this is obviously anywhere between 8 and 12 years old. Let's have a look at the colour. I'd say that's like a chestnut or Oloroso sherry. It's got a reasonable colour to it. I don't know if this has had any additional colouring added because it doesn't actually say. Let's start with the nose. Right, so I'm getting honey, I'm getting vanilla, I'm getting sort of burnt caramel and treacle and toffee, lots of sweet sugary notes. It really is quite nice on the nose. Let's see what else I get. Right, so I'm getting dark fruit, which is obviously coming from the wine. I'm getting that sort of buttery biscuit note, which is quite common with pot still Irish whiskey. I'm getting like a creme brulee, almost a sort of charred, burnt sugar. I'm getting things like fruit, like dates and those sort of rich, really dark, dried fruits. It's a little bit tannic. You can sort of smell a little bit of dryness on the nose, but it's not unpleasant at all. And there's like a slightly bitter dark chocolate note on the end, which is quite nice as well. Let's have a sip and see what we get on the palate. So getting things like honey again, like it picks up on the nose, really is super sweet. I really do like sweet whiskies, and this is right up my street. It's viscous and oily, it really coats the mouth well. It starts to thicken as it sort of contacts with your tongue and your taste buds, so it becomes really, really oily. Let's see what else I get. With that creaminess, you get that buttery biscuit note. It really is lovely. And then you get like a sweet dessert wine, which is really, really mouth coating. It really, it's like a dessert in a glass. And then there's a slight tannic note, you know, that little bit of dryness follows that. And then a little heat. That heat doesn't build straight away. It does take some time before it's made known. And then you get that creme brulee, those burnt sugars, which are really nice. And then along with that, you get a silky chocolate on the tongue. It really is nice. In terms of finish, I'd say it's quite long. You know, it does stay on the palate for some time. You've got that heat, you've got that dry wood, you've got that slightly dry sort of tannic note, but it's not strong. And you've got that buttery biscuit, and it's really does leave this sweet, warm and creamy texture in your mouth. So for me, although this is, you know, 50% more than standard green spot, that extra ABV obviously gives it a little bit of potency. It's well rounded, it's really viscous. There's no alcohol burn. You know, it's not a drink that needs water, but it really is like heaven in a glass. It's the sort of thing you could drink all night, you could take your time with, you could sip. It really is lovely. So if that sounds up your street, then check it out, and I'll put a link in the description to where you can buy it. Right, so let's move on to the competition. If you'd like to win a dram of this, plus every other whiskey I feature, and a bonus dram, all you have to do is leave a comment. I don't mind what the comment's about, but give me your feedback. Have you tried any of the spot whiskies before? Have you tried this whiskey before? If you have, I'd love to hear what you think of it. If you tried the standard green spot as well, you know, how does it compare? There is another green spot, the Château Montelena. You may have tried that instead. If so, give me your thoughts on that. And I'll put all the details in the description, including all the rules and regulations. Hopefully you'll come back for the final instalment of the series, and well, you'll have another chance to enter that competition. I'll see you next time. Stauncher.
I hope you enjoyed this video. If you did, why not give it a like or a comment, and please consider subscribing for more videos like this.